The Huntington Beach Pier in Southern California, one of the better-known surfing spots in the world. Del Cannon and Jack Haley paddling out for a few waves. The Santa Ana winds were blowing, and there was some good surf. Jack Haley on the first wave. Del Cannon on this wave. Shooting the pier was a good way to impress the girls on the pier if there were any watching, which there was about once a month. The kooks surfed the Huntington Beach flats while the heroes rode the pier. Shooting the pier wasn't as hard as it looked, but no one was going to tell the kooks that. Jack Haley again. Jack is now a successful restaurateur. He was the first guy I ever knew who collected unemployment. He listed his occupation as matador and diamond cutter. They never did find him a job. Sammy Buell. Del getting sucked sideways through the pier. The board won't fit sideways, so he let go of it and got to it just in time. It was a good thing he did because Harold Walker wasn't about to let him back inside the foam shop. Huntington had one of the surf clubs along the coast. Here's the honorary president, Lightnin' Brown. He wasn't dealing with a completely full deck, but what president is? To warm up after surfing in the winter, we used to light old rubber tires on fire. On a cold winter day, we would light 10 or 15 of them. It would warm you up from 50 feet and leave a plume of smoke you could see in Malibu. No one ever complained. Everyone thought it was neat, the kids warming up. Can you imagine doing that today? They'd put you in San Quentin. Denny Buell with an amazing kick out, completely upside down. At least it seemed amazing at the time. One morning, after an unforgettable evening he couldn't remember, Del Cannon woke up in La Jolla. Some writing on Del's sleeping bag caught his eye. It was an ad for one of the cheap airlines of the day. They had a one-way flight for $80, the economy package, and the Royal Aloha Tour, which no surfer could ever afford. For a barefoot adventure, the $80 one-way fare was the way to go. Worry about getting back later. Like any responsible citizen, Del deposited the paper in one of the fancy trash receptacles they had in La Jolla at the time. Dora the dumpster. Aloha, Del. Have a nice time in the islands. It wasn't long before Del was boarding Rubber Band Airlines for what he thought would be a pleasant 10 to 14-hour flight to Hawaii. What the ad didn't mention was they often went back and forth between San Diego, Los Angeles, and San Francisco until they had the plane full. Sometimes it would take 3 days to fill it up. Finally over the islands and into Honolulu International Airport, which handled up to 6 incoming flights a day. Del made it to the North Shore, where he met up with some buddies. The first thing they did was head around Kaina Point for Makaha, 20 miles of mud. The only way to make it was to keep it floored the whole way. The Jungle Cruiser and the White Elephant. Let up on the gas and you're stuck. Not a major dilemma when there's 5 passengers per car able to push. A huge swell was running, and they hoped the direction was right to generate some fabled point surf at Makaha. The surf at Kaina Point was spectacular, breaking a mile out to sea. Impossible waves to ride, but if the swell direction was right, there may be some point surf at Makaha. Through a couple of rivers went the Jungle Cruiser and the White Elephant. These cars cost between $25 and $100, although I don't know anyone who actually paid $100 for one. With a little luck, you could keep it running and sell it to some surfers arriving in Hawaii, get most of your money back. The road began drying out as they got towards Makaha, where they hoped they'd see some of the huge point surf. For the first time in 3 years, point surf at Makaha, Joey Cabell. Mike Doyle out in front on this one. Del Cannon fresh off the plane and into some rare point surf. Point surf at Makaha is the longest ride you'll ever get on a big wave. Ed Marsh. There were some horrible wipeouts. Mike Haley on his first day riding big waves. He looked up from the bottom of this one and thought it might be his last day doing anything. These huge waves are making almost a 90-degree turn from the North Shore around Kaina Point before hitting Makaha. Small wave riding has changed drastically over the years, but big wave riding hasn't. It's still basically a matter of survival. One surfer per wave is the safest approach. 2 surfers can be fairly dangerous. 3 surfers is really dangerous, and 4 surfers is out of the question. You don't even know whose board you got hit by. After a day of big surf, Del and his friend Walt Wessel made the rounds of the Honolulu car lots and picked up a new $45 car. They were headed back to the North Shore, thought they'd go over the Pali to get there. They stopped to check out the view of the windward side of the islands from the top of the Pali Cliffs. Down the beautiful Pali Highway they went. This road is closed now. It was one of the steepest and most treacherous roads in the islands. Their new car ran great, except for one problem. No brakes! The policeman said, "Okay, fellas, slow down." They said, "We're trying to, officer." Dell had wondered why the car was so cheap. It should have cost $50, not $45. Dell said, "Fasten your seat belts." Walt said, "They haven't invented them yet." Walt wanted out. He thought he was Monty Montana. Walt! After a long jog, Walt came upon the wreckage. I don't know what happened in this crash, but it put Dell's pants on backwards. It's hard to believe these guys weren't professional actors. One good thing about these old surfing films, they sure weren't corny.